right now. So
spill my drink.
We are live on the YouTube. If you're watching, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to tweet this out.
Oh, let me get on mute here
And
real
Sherwin,
quick.
you need to keep our guests entertained for a moment while I do a couple little housekeeping items.
Yeah, sure. So I can only imagine this week has been a little bit of a whirlwind for you. So hopefully we'll see something interesting tomorrow happen on your behalf. But like I said, it's only made it more fun and funnier that
in a cosmic
that we've keep like sort of missing paths up until now, and it just made perfect sense. I was really hoping that that we would land on episode 200 once we saw what the progression was for you saying yes, because that's a big deal. Rusty's wife has got us these balloons here in the studio with 200, and we're gonna do something fun later with that.
They're awesome. Yeah, it's fantastic. So yeah, we'll get started here in just a couple minutes. Ross, where are you at today?
Here at home in Mooresville.
Okay.
So here just plugging away and ready to get to Gateway for sure.
Yeah, buddy.
I bet. How's it? I was going to ask it on the show, but is the team like super pumped now? Are they getting fired up?
We're mad at the world, so
so out to
coming to. It's same game plan, same as Iowa. Just come put together a good race truck and don't let anybody take a breath.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
Yeah, buddy.
Sherwin, we got some folks on. I think it's time to get started. You ready to go?
We should, yep.
All right. Ross, are you ready to make it happen?
Ready.
All right. We've got about a minute to a minute and a half that we'll go silent on you, but stick with us. We will be right back with you. And with that, we are recording episode number 200 right now. Welcome, That's right. This is the Pregame Engineered Tailgate Mare Racing Podcast, episode number 200.
Bicentennial.
It's Tuesday, June 18th, 2019. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace. I'm in the PTM podcast studio with Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
I know, man. So we got nice decorations in here, courtesy of your lovely wife.
Right.
We have a guest that we have been chasing for the better part of a year.
Yeah.
And that'll become a source of humor always. But happy to have him. But we got some stuff to attend to before we bring him on.
That's right. Happy 200, everybody. Right before we do that, y'all know what the deal is. This podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. You go to patreon.com/PTM. Join the What You Drink Club for as little as $1 a month. Get your free koozie and some stickers. We've been sending them out all week. People are getting them and posting. Thank you for posting. Best part is every cent this year, we're once again donating to sponsoring drivers to join the PTM Posse today. Be a part of the sport you love. This week's show brought to you by our official sponsors at the $5 and up per month level. Those are Laura Henshaw, Aaron Bearden, Robert Keplinger, Coleman McClam, Eric Kepner, Ryan Kiefer, Patrick Cleary, Jeff Brown, Brandon Crowd, Kathleen McDonald, Stacey Wright, Brandon Carl, Rika Porter, Jump Bob, Les Miller, Tommy Witt, Julie Boz, John Pearson, Eddie Greer III, Younger Motorsports, David Mullins, Patrick Johnson, Brett Morris, Crystal Smoke, Fred Rosado, Chad Knappen, Stacy Coleman, Matthew Camper, Lisa Chinana, and Rick Houston. So, Sherwin, holy crap.
No kidding.
Wow. Whoa. Not so fast, City. There we go.
Not
just
so
faded
fast.
out a little bit. But, dude, happy 200.
No kid, man. This is pretty exciting, actually.
This is
like we
cool.
don't get our, we get worked up over having a really cool guest.
That's right.
We haven't gotten a whole lot worked up over,
like
how many episodes we've
yeah.
done until now.
So I came home. I helped the wife cook dinner. We ate dinner. I came upstairs. I took a shower. I got ready. This is all like my routine on show day. And I walk into the studio. The door was shut to the studio. I walk into the studio, and there's giant balloons, 200. We posted it on Twitter, and all kinds of other balloons hanging up. My wife had decorated the studio, and, man, I just busted out laughing and ran downstairs and gave her a hug. Super cool ever to do all this. But, Sherwin, on top of that, we have a guest. Like you said, we've been chasing for a while, but I haven't been this excited to have somebody on in so long. and welcoming him.
Yeah, we don't want to overbill it, but
Right.
like this is as exciting for us as
it can get.
anything
right?
as we've done so far.
Well, y'all know him. He's competing for the Truck Series Championship in the Nice Motorsports number 44 Chevy. He's the NASCAR troubadour, the Melon Man himself, Mr. Ross Chastain. Ross, what's up?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on this cool episode, number 200. Congrats.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are, dude, like I said, it goes both ways in that. Ross, before we get started, the PTM Posse demands to know what you're drinking tonight.
Just water.
Having him some water, getting hydrated, getting ready for the week. Sherwin, we've got a little array of things here.
We've got a plethora.
I have, let's see. There's the, I don't know who makes this, Rita's watermelon margarita, sparkling margarita. Ross, we've got that in the house. I dare even open this, but
Well, we're doing it right now.
it had, had watermelon on it. It's Four Loko. Ross, have you had Four Loko watermelon?
I have not.
Oh,
No.
It's 12%.
It's 12% alcohol. It's got bad decision written all over it. And, to wash those down, Sherwin, I went and bought a watermelon, so we've got two big old slices.
We used to
of
drink
good,
these back when they still had taurine in them. And
Oh,
they
yeah.
were real dangerous.
We've
then.
got two big old slices of summer watermelon. Oh, take a bite
I'm going to take me a bite.
right now. So, Ross, all for you, buddy. The Watermelon Man, we've got watermelon on deck in every form, liquid, solid. I can't really, I don't know if I can make a gas out of one, but
No.
here's what it is.
But
So,
Ross is like the NASCAR version of Gallagher now. But
that's right.
I'll give you a watch out. Don't smash some things on your head because Gallagher's had like 47 concussions.
Yeah, I'll let. Yeah, no, we'll just smash them on victory lane. That'll work.
That's how, so that was going to be my next question. So, Ross, Carl has had the backflip. Kyle Busch bows. Is a watermelon smash? Are we going to see that again?
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the thing. It's something I wanted to do for a long time. When we kind of thought of it, I was done racing local stuff. I could have done it a lot if I had started back then. I just never thought of it. And like I said, we just wanted to bring our own. It's me. I didn't want to force anything. I can't do a backflip, no matter in any circumstance, let alone off a race car. So. It's just our deal, and it ties my roots and my family, my family's livelihood into my career. No matter where I go or what I'm doing or who my sponsor is, I can always tie it in.
That's cool. You received high praise from Dale Jr., by the way, and his crowd on their podcast for doing the watermelon smash.
I think that had universal appeal across the board. Are you the first to smash a watermelon in victory lane? I think that's the case.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, I don't know why anybody else. I know Kyle smashed a guitar one time.
I remember that.
I wouldn't
We
do
were
that.
watching live.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So it's we did it on the front stretch at Vegas, and then did it Victory Lane here. I like Victory Lane a little better. It's try to splash the photographers.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a good point. Yeah. Get their shoes a little
Well,
dirty.
and then if they're really feeling froggy, they can go get them a bite.
That's right. Why not?
Yeah.
Russ, you'd mentioned the sponsor before. I think one of the coolest sponsor stories that I've heard in the past ever was a True North deal. I think you had even said it in Victory Lane there that, hey, True North called us on Monday, and here we are on what would have been Saturday, but now we're in Sunday, and how quick that happened. Tell us a little bit about them and how cool that was and how that came together.
Yeah, they've been a sponsor with us this entire year, and they were really just planning on kicking off the year with Daytona, and True North was unveiling a new bike from Paul Jr. and Paul Jr. Designs, and they were tying it in down in the Daytona Beach area and trying to use our truck race as a kind of a platform to kind of get more attention to it. And from there, it's just kind of snowballed in a really good way, and we've been able to grow the relationship and actually meet with Kirk and everybody in the office there at True North. They're local here in the northern Charlotte area, and we're able to just actually get to know them. And Kirk's lived here in the area for almost 20 years and never really cared too much about racing, but he wanted to help us pursue this championship, and so he stepped up big time. And like I said, picked up Iowa on Monday, and we won on Sunday. So that's
right on.
That's all that matters. That's all you can do for a sponsor.
Yeah, man,
No doubt.
That's super cool. Again, the talk on Monday, and then hey, we're racing with it on Saturday. How cool! And what was the response? I got to imagine it was just giddy from everyone. The immediate response after the race.
I mean, yeah, obviously
From
everybody
the True North
was
guys,
pumped. Yeah. It was short lived, but you know, that is what it is, and we know we won the race, and other than that, we'll you know, see how the appeal goes tomorrow, but pretty much know how that's going to go. It's their sandbox, and we'll just go to Gateway and use their sand and pound them into it again.
I love
Tell
that.
you what.
I love that.
So, from your perspective, real quick, Ross, just like what? Not to dive in it because we're gonna get into it again.
We're already
want
in
to
it.
transition?
We might as well.
Yeah.
Here's
we'll,
the transition. Watch this. We're tearing it down.
All right. So first period.
Yeah.
What I had written is, let's go ahead and get the elephant in the room, you know, identified and out of the way. Is so from a perspective of a sponsor like True North, when you have what happened to you have happened, do they really care, or do they just care more about the fact that you got exposure and you won the race, at least for a period of time? You were the race winner.
Yeah, I don't really know. I haven't talked to him about that specifically. We've been trying to juggle a lot of things and keep the train on the tracks, for lack of a better term, of the race team and all of our guys and girls shop, and just turn our trucks around. I'll run the same truck I ran at Iowa and Gateway, and just go bring another winning truck. You know, just try to minimize mistakes, and so I know that the team's been in contact with them, but I haven't. I've been buried with stuff, so I know they were happy that we won and that we talked about them and stuff. They're not really there for the exposure. They, you know, for as far as their logo and stuff, they're more for looking at a bigger picture. And they're a global company, and that's why they're partnered with NASCAR and using NASCAR's global presence. I mean, we all think of it as an North American sport, but it really is bigger than that. People from all over the world watch. So using that True North is using that platform to springboard their company to the global level, because they're already doing business worldwide. So, unfortunately, I know that as of tonight, what's tonight? Tuesday. We don't have a sponsor for this weekend at Gateway, which blows my mind. So we're working through that now, trying to work through that.
So,
wow.
I wanted to relate the story since you're here. We've told the PETM posse before about this story. It is bittersweet having you on the show. Mostly sweet. The only bitter part is that we don't see you. We won't be able to see you anymore. And at racetracks, and you go, "Oh crap!" Because we had met you, I think, first time in Atlanta last year. In that crazy rain that happened.
6 people showed up for the tweet up.
Right, and Ross was one of the 6, and we introduced ourselves in our sheepish way, like, "Hi, Ross, it's great to meet you. We do this stupid podcast thing. Would you like to be on?" And Ross is like, "Yeah, man, I'll help you out, sure thing." And then Ross Chastain became a thing, and as big, and all the stories and everything. So we see Ross, I think the second time was
Phoenix,
because it was the
he
weekend
came to that
after,
tweet up
2
too.
weeks after, yeah. So he was there, and we're like, "Hey, Ross," and he's like, "Oh yeah, guys, what's up?" And then we saw you again, Ross, at Talladega, and then there was another
for the hero
one.
card signing.
Yeah, for the hero card signing. That one was hilarious. He looks up and he goes, "Oh crap!" And we're just laughing the whole time. And seeing you in Michigan this past week. Man, we've. I would say it's like we're stalking you, but we're only seeing you at NASCAR races, at least, right?
That's right. Well, as far as I know. So I hope that's the case.
That's a good point.
Hiding in the bushes behind the Walmart, Ross.
Yeah.
Ross. that wouldn't be the happy oh crap anymore. I think that would be.
That'd be a little scary.
I don't know about this one, fellas. So we at least we won't be able to have that camaraderie joke with you anymore. Either way, we're again so excited to have you on and everything. We'll move to second period, Sherwin. I'm curious from your perspective, Ross, as you were dominating the field. Right behind you, some stuff was going on between Mr. Johnny Sauter and Austin Hill. Wrecking under green versus wrecking under caution. Obviously, Johnny Sauter getting that suspension for the next race, but still playoff eligible. I'm wondering what your perspective is on that, and also during the race, were you, I don't know, privy to any of that going on? Was the crew chief or spotter saying anything? Even, I'm thinking like Spotter Brett or something would come on and just be like, some dumbasses back there are having themselves a field day. I'm curious what your guys were saying.
No, they didn't. I've only seen videos on my phone of it. They never mentioned it. I saw Johnny stopped or rolling really slow down at like turn 4 and around the entrance to pit road, and the caution was out, and I was just slowing down so the pace car could catch us in turn 1, and had no idea. So glad I was way ahead of it. Never saw anything. Never realized what was going on until way later. Saw it on my phone and was wowed like everybody else was, I'm sure, as they watched it, that really happened.
Yeah. What was your perspective, or what is your perspective on kind of, I don't know, where do you stand on the whole thing, and the suspension and the when to do some.
Well, so and I'd like to anecdotally add to that is, so we were at Darlington. I think we told you that already. When you administered what you thought was your version of I didn't like what you did, so this is what I'm going to do to you on the backstretch at Darlington, which we cheered for. But
that was heavy cheering.
But so what's your perspective on this? Like, is it really different that Austin was mad with Johnny and he pushes him out of the way and he backs into the wall under green? And then is that different from Johnny, passing 10 cars just to go up there and crash into Austin?
I mean, yeah, there's definitely a difference. There's, those two guys have been running into each other quite a bit. And that's what, when you're the same speed, their trucks have been really equal for quite a few races this year. And we've been either a little behind them or a little in front of them. So I have seen it. Johnny was racing really aggressively at Texas, and he put it on my right side door a couple of times, and I almost crashed and took him out, and then he pinched Austin down there into 3, and Austin didn't lift either, and they both crashed. So I guess that's really where obviously the first wreck happened, and then I guess I'm biased because I would react different. I mean, honestly, based on which side of the deal I was on. If I'm Austin, I mean, whether I get beat up or not, we're not leaving Iowa until I find Johnny Sauter, and if I'm Johnny, I definitely don't wreck him under caution. But we don't leave until I find Austin Hill. So I just handle that kind of stuff different. I don't run into people under caution or after the race. I've done that, but I learned real quick that's not the way I want to handle it.
Yeah.
And, to use the race car, so I would have just found them, and we would have, whether however it works out, it's getting settled right then. And if to get beat up, you get beat up. I've been beat up before, and probably won't be hopefully I've gotten that all out of my system. I don't really want to get beat up anymore. It's not very fun, but you have to stand up for yourself, and I think Austin felt like he did that getting into turn 3 after Johnny got into him going into 1, and Austin probably just saw red there for a split second and turned him, and then Johnny saw red all the way down into turn 1 whenever he caught him under caution. So I like that they're that passionate, though. I hate that they tore up their trucks doing it, but they're both very, very competitive teams, and they'll have another bullet ready for each team. Even without Johnny this week, they'll have whoever's in the 13 will be fast, and I'm sure we'll have to race them for the win.
Yeah. So let me ask you this real quick. You had mentioned Johnny had driven down on your door before to try to to maybe get you loose or to lift. Is that a dare? Basically, the way your trucks work, you know that's going to be problematic if you're in the turn. Is that Johnny daring other drivers to race him the way he races them? I mean, like if he's expecting you to lift and not get loose and trash his truck, like that seems like a big gamble to me.
Yeah, it is. We all do it. But I've never lifted. And some guys do, and you know it. I've actually, back when Johnny was on his first tour duty at ThorSport, he was in, I guess, either the 13 or the 98. Him and Dakota Armstrong swapped at Martinsville, and I had forgot. And Dakota would always lift, so I thought, yeah, that'll be fine. And I was coming off turn 2 and just turned left, thinking Dakota would lift. And it was Johnny Sauter in that truck, and he carried me all the way to the entrance of pit road at Martinsville and just about put me down pit road. Then I about wrecked Chase, I think, and it was a whole mess. And I got to the front stretch, and I pulled over and let him go. So I forgot it was Johnny, honestly. So you race everybody. I race everybody hard, but I know who I can put it right next to their door, and I think Johnny knows he can. I mean, I don't know how we didn't touch. I could hear the exhaust echoing off of his driver's door, and he knew that I would keep it down there, and I knew he'd give me somehow just enough room. And I was upset at the time, but it made me feel better later that he crashed with the 16 doing the same thing. So.
Yeah. Well, so would you say the same thing about, the roles reversed in a little bit of a way because of the way the track races, but you in the 98 at Darlington, he went underneath you expecting basically the same thing, that you would lift, and you didn't. And as a result, you both ended up with trash cars in a race that you had led, I think, 66% of the laps so far at that point. So is that the same kind of thing?
I don't know. I mean, and I'm sure these guys say the same thing. My deal happened and was over. It happened and was over before I even realized what was happening. And I drive a lot off of just instinct and feel. I lift when my foot lifts off the gas is when I lift, and I push the brake and I turn the wheel, and everything just kind of happens. So and that's what happened in that situation. So I still, watching the videos back and stuff, I still can't believe that it happened the way that it did. But it's somehow working out, I guess. Sometimes I think, man, he was right. I'm not, I am not getting the rides that I want, and then, getting put into situations with Nice Motorsports and colleague racing. Everything happens for a reason, and that's what I really believe. And I'm just kind of along for the ride for whatever the plan is for me.
Sure.
How cool has it been to have? We were talking with Brandon Brown 2 weeks ago, and I think his perspective summed up the entirety of, I would say, NASCAR and NASCAR fandom and everything. We're asking about you going to trucks, and he goes, I think he's insane, and I am rooting for him. How much of that have you heard, and how? What's your kind of gut reaction? How do you feel about that too? Does that give you the motivation? Is that cool?
It is. It's never been done before, so I'm all for it. I think that we set a record earlier this season with the most starts to start a season, to start the most races. So we beat Kyle Busch at something. That's pretty hard to do these days. And then I guess now we're the first one they've taken a win away from since. I don't know. I read something about 1960. I've read about Skinner in the 90s. I've read a bunch of, obviously, when something happens to you, you read all about it. But no, I'm glad to be the guy. I mean, yeah, it was a crazy move. It was bold. It was, but my hand honestly got forced to start it. I mean, it was an option, but we never pulled the trigger on it. So. Once the cards got put on the table and I saw what was in front of me, there was no option other than Truck Series for me. We made the switch, and I'll never I'll never second guess that decision because
Yeah.
it was the right decision at the time, and no matter what happens, even if we don't make the playoffs, like that just means that we've we went to Iowa and we won the race. So I'm not letting a dang just a technicality get us down on whether the decision was right. But yeah, I think Brandon and some of those guys probably that might have been about the nicest thing that they could say about me. So I'll take it.
Yeah, he's insane, and we're rooting for him.
Yeah,
I love it.
Brandon was a good dude for sure.
We'll go to third period. So we'll lighten it up a bit here. Badlands Speedway in Brandon, South Dakota. So usually, Ross, we usually have some like NASCAR stuff to talk about, but since you were pretty much all the headlines this weekend, and we've covered those now, we'll go into some fun stuff here. Badlands Speedway, Sherwin, in Brandon, South Dakota. It's a third-mile dirt track. It's got a long history. It's dating back to
They race horses there? Or?
Well, I mean, back in the who knows? They've run everything. Back in the 50s, they fell on some hard times, and then they invested a lot of money in it. There's been a lot of stuff going on. They sort of lost their zoning and stuff, and then they got it back, but they're looking to rebound. And the track owner, Chuck Brennan, he's holding a race on August 13th. The entry fee is $200,000.
Good God.
And the prize is the track itself.
What?
How crazy
Who can afford to run a dirt late model race in South Dakota with that kind of entry fee?
You know what? The track is evidently worth $6 or $8 million.
That's a damn good gamble.
Well, so Ross, do you want to go in with us on the on an entry fee? We'll pay. I think I'm good for like $100. Sherwin's like maybe
we'll put a
$100.
PETM sticker on the car.
Yeah, yeah. And if you cover the rest, then I think we've got a team. What do you think?
There is not anything I would want worse than to be a racetrack owner or a race team owner. I can't think of worse things to own. Not really.
I love that.
That's funny.
I know the business, and I really don't understand people that owners. It takes all kinds. It takes all kinds to drive race cars and all that. But I don't even think if you paid me that much money, I would want to run a dirt track in South Dakota.
So you're saying if we somehow scrounge up, maybe through the Patreon page over the next 100 years, the money to do it, and you win the race, you still wouldn't want the track?
I don't think so. No, I'll let you guys do that.
Well,
all right. Well, we'll probably just keep doing this. And
yeah, we'll just do it from there. Like, hey guys, let's move on. Let's talk about Gateway a little bit. First off, tell us what it's like to race there. Since Cup doesn't go there, it's one of those among those tracks. It's like, ooh, that's interesting. What's going on there? I feel like we get a lot of attention, between pre-race and
we just started going back too because we left for a while.
Right. So what's it like? What's unique at Gateway? What are you looking at in terms of the track and stuff when you're going there, and what do you look forward to?
Man, I'm coming in kind of blind. It's the only experience I have is last year. I went there with Jay Robinson and Mark Beaver and the premium team, and we start and parked a truck. So that's all the laps. In 2011, 12, and 13, when I ran trucks most of the time, they didn't go to Gateway. So it's all I did was run an old. I didn't have a Nilmore motor last year. We were just ran an old R07 and just went out there, made a few laps, qualified pretty good, and then just got it in the race, and then rode around about 40 laps and pulled in. So I've got a lot to learn when we get there. I've done some time on the simulator and with Team Chevy, and I don't know. Brett looked a lot better than me there, so he ran there last year, and I know he's ran some late model stuff there. So he taught me a few things there in the sim, and I'm going to try to pick up on it in practice. I know I've watched John Hunter roll out there in first practice on the old pavement, drive down into turn one full of confidence, and drive it straight in the fence. So I'm going to try not to do that because I remember he just looked like he missed the braking zone. I think it's pretty easy to do, so try not to get into that scenario.
So will you also be in an Xfinity car this weekend or just the trucks?
no Xfinity on the schedule this weekend for anybody, so they're off. They've got a week off before they go to Chicago. So
okay.
Trucks in Gateway, and then I will jump on a plane and fly to San Francisco and start my first race at Sonoma Sunday with no practice.
So do you like the Ambit Turner stuff? I mean, Sonoma for us is like, it's a dream come true. Same with Watkins Glen, and of course we love the Mid Ohio and the Mosport stuff too. But like, is it fun for you to drive?
So, and by the way, I'm going to underscore what Sherwin just said. I don't even like to call Sonoma and Watkins Glen a bucket list track for us. It's like a under 40 list track for us, and we're very almost 40.
Correct.
Yeah, I've watched it, growing up, and always loved watching road courses, and really I enjoy them. The little bit I've done with the first truck race at Mosport, and then Xfinity races over the years, and then I ran Watkins Glen last year in the Roval in the Cup car. So they're hard. I'm not very good, to be honest. So I don't know what in the world Premium Motorsports is thinking, but they wanted me to fly out there with no practice. Somebody else will take it out in practice and qualifying, and then I'll race it. That's what Jay and the team wanted to do, so I'm all for it. It'll get me laps. It'll be a steep learning curve. Luckily, I think the first stage ends at lap 20, so if I can stay on the lead lap for that and not drive off into the barrels, I'll be mission accomplished, and we'll just kind of learn and try to pick up speed. So
awesome.
I don't know. I don't know what we're thinking.
Is Phil Parsons still a part of that team, or?
He's not.
Okay.
Dude, and I know Ross just said, I don't know what they're thinking, but here's what I'm thinking. If I'm kind of a small team, and I'm saying, I'd like to get somebody in this car who, is making some waves and can
wants to be here, too.
Yeah, wants to be here. And they're going to talk about on TV, and they're going to show and whatnot, and give us some exposure and get us and give us the best
You
shot
will get some extra exposure.
To outdrive the car like Ross always does. Who are we going to put in this? And the first thing I'll say is, who's got Ross Chastain's number?
Right. Well, one of the things that we talk – so the reason why we end up contacting Brandon Brown, Ross, is that Tommy Joe told us that he was probably doing the best with the least. But Brandon talked really highly about you doing the same thing in the cars and trucks that you've driven over the years. And it's a great perspective because we're starting to see that actually – that sinusoidal wave of, we're coming out of the valley of where you have to get in the best car, on the racetrack in order to advance your career. It looks like you're going to be one of the people that may emerge as I drove a bunch of cars that were challenging and finished better than I was supposed to. And maybe that means I'm going to get an opportunity.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think getting laps in all three series has been invaluable. It made it where, I had a race-winning truck in 2013 at Iowa with BKR and finished second to James Busher, and I still have nightmares about that because I can't believe I let that guy beat me. But he had the experience, and he saved a set of tires. He spun someone else out, and then he restarted second right next to me with fresh tires, and I couldn't do anything with him. So I feel like now if I'd had the experience, I could have used them up more and got my first win back then, but I didn't. And so all these guys that are, they come in, they jump straight into the KBM trucks, and in 2 years, and they got to jump to Xfinity cars, and they're all. It's funny, you can just see it just repeats itself, and I just obviously have never been afforded that opportunity to run full season at some place like that, but I know I'll be better for it if that opportunity ever comes along. Guys like Corey LaJoy and DiBenedetto and guys like that have put in the time.
Jeb.
I don't think he's in the car enough, man. I told him that at Michigan. He was all mad at me after the race for racing him too hard when he was in the 8 car. And I just felt like, and I told him, man, that car should be farther up. No apologies here that you're racing with the 4 car and you're mad about it. Now you're mad at me for not letting you pass. It's, we're not here to let people pass. We're here to race, and I'm not going to wreck you. I'm not going to hold you up any more than I'm going to run my pace, and I'm going to run as fast as I can. So he was all upset, and I know he's got a lot of pressure on him. And the bad part is there's so many different drivers in like a program like that. I don't know how you can even deal with the pressure, because you're all trying to accomplish the same thing, and selfishly you want to be the best one, in hopes that it gets them an opportunity to run more, pick up more sponsorship or whatever. So I don't know. It's
100%.
I mean, he's got to get in the car more. Is what I told him. Man, you need to be out here racing, and you would be farther up if you were.
I think he would agree with you based on what I heard from him this week.
Yeah. Ross, we know we're running out of time with you. We want to end this on a fun note. Something that you know way better than us. So we're sitting here, we're eating watermelon, we're drinking watermelon margarita. We drank some of this Four Loko. Good grief, that's awful. Watermelon.
It's not great, but it's fun though.
Yeah. So Ross, here's the deal. We live in Atlanta. It's like the upper third of Georgia or whatever. It ain't no Florida for that. But, you can grow some watermelons here. I've tried to grow some watermelons, right? I usually get these 5-inch watermelons that have like this 2-inch diameter or 2-inch radial rind on them. So I've got like an inch of watermelon in the middle. Ross, what am I doing wrong? How in the hell do you actually grow a watermelon? One of them like 15-pound things. What's it take to grow a real damn watermelon?
And it's pretty simple. Once you get your plant, you're growing it, your vines start taking off, you just go down to your local Walmart and you pick up one, pay about $6 for it. You go home and you lay it out there in the garden, and when the family comes home, you've grown a big old nice juicy watermelon, man. That's all there is to it.
Now, is watermelon like pumpkins where you need to have 2 vines in order to pollinate, or do they self-pollinate?
You got to have a male and a female plant, yes, sir, and get that pollination at the right time. So yeah, watermelons are tough. They're tough to grow in a garden. We've tried it even, and it's so hard to do. So it's better just. Obviously, I'm biased, just like I am when it comes to racing. Just go buy you one at the store, and that'll take care of that.
Pretend like you did it. So it sounds like you need a lot of acreage, so you got all the, plenty of
Lots
plants.
of sun.
I know a place in South Dakota where there's this racetrack right now. We can maybe turn it into a little watermelon farm. Sure, when I about made you might have come out of your eyeballs. You haven't done that to me
in a while.
Ross, what do we need to look for in buying a watermelon? There's all the
Flick
old wives'
it,
tales.
Smell it if it's cantaloupe.
Yeah, you're seeing all that stuff. So what's going to make a good watermelon at the Walmart before I go pretend like I just grew it myself to my family?
Yeah, man, just buy 3 and you'll be fine. That's all you got to do.
I love this.
There you go. Good salesman
you're bound
there.
to get a good one if you buy 3.
Yeah, and make sure there's a sticker on it that says Chastain Farms, Florida.
Yeah.
On it.
Yeah, actually, no, there is a couple that you can look. I mean, it sounds crazy, and I know some people thump them and all that, but looking at the stripes and just making sure like they're symmetrical, because if they kind of come to a point, it means it wasn't done growing. It should be heavy. Like if it's going to be sweet and juicy, it's going to have a lot of water in it. They're 92% water, man. And then at the end, just flip it over and look for that yellow spot. It should be yellow, not white.
Okay. I did
call.
not know these things. See? We're learning something today. We laughed, we learned, and that's what PTM podcast is all about. When is peak watermelon season? Is it right now? Do we all need to go out and start buying some watermelons?
It is. They're coming out of Georgia right now, down just about 2 hours south of Atlanta, and out of Cordele and Tifton.
Oh yeah,
that's where our group is at. And they'll be moving up to Barnwell, South Carolina, and North Carolina, and then out to Indiana and Maryland and Delaware after that is our kind of path. So Florida's all done. We're done at our farm with my dad and brother, and everybody moved up the road. So they're shipping them out of Cordele 24/7.
All right.
Ross, it has been an absolute blast having you on, getting your perspectives, talking watermelons, talking racing. It's been a year and change in the making.
Yeah. You now have your bachelor's degree.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you haven't been too offended, we'd love to have you back for a master's and PhD at some point. Maybe it'll take us another year, but hey, we'll wait. We are very patient people, and we continue doing this on the 200th episode. It was great having you, Ross.
Yeah, it's great to be on, guys. Sorry it took so long. When are you getting old Spotter Brett on now? I know y'all were jabbing at him about me, so.
Well, we actually had him
what's his ETA?
Was it 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah, it's been real recent, so we'll have to wait a while to. But I'll text with him every now and again, and sometimes he responds. So
you know what he did is
when you're back in the 10 car, maybe that's a good time.
Yeah. When he was on last, he said, "Yeah, I've got a meeting with Ross in the morning." And we said, listen, do us one favor. This is an inside joke. If you just walk up to him and say, "Hey, Ross, all this marketing stuff's cool. You got to get on that PTM podcast, though." And we're like, and we told him he'll know it was us who initiated all that. Did he mention anything? I'm just curious whether he did or didn't. Did he say anything just to Josh with you?
He just, I think it was something about talking about Twitter, though. I think he mentioned it.
All right.
Like, you don't pay attention to everything. You gotta look at your stuff. So he was yelling at me.
Love it. Ross, thank you so much for being on. We are going to be riding the high and being giddy forever. We've got these balloons above us that say 200 on it. We're so excited to have had you on. Tell the folks where they can find you and what's coming up next.
Yeah, everything's just my name, Ross Chastain. Can't spell it, Google it, and yeah, that's it. That's everything online, all the social media stuff. Just trying to hustle through a crazy NASCAR career and somehow keep the ball rolling in the right direction. So sometimes I feel like every race team I drive for is mad at me, and then sometimes I feel like I wish I could drive two cars in one race. So missed my first Xfinity race since Homestead of 2014.
Wow.
I was going to say
I ran that race that day and then haven't missed one since until Iowa this weekend. So I was up in the MRM booth and got to call that race and give my just a little bit of perspective on stuff. That was neat. Glad I got to do that, but I want to be back in the race car as much as I can and just keep learning. So we'll see what comes next and try to go stomp them at Gateway and then learn as much as I can at Sonoma this weekend.
Wow, that's awesome. We really appreciate your time. And, whenever you get a chance to run that 10 car again, to have you and Brett, maybe we can put that together. Who knows?
Who knows?
Brett will say the F word about 4 times, but that's fine. We figured out how to navigate around that.
First minute and a half. Good times. Well, Ross, best of luck this coming weekend. We'll be rooting very hard for you. So.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to say that, too, before we let him go, is you have invigorated our want to watch the trucks. We love the trucks. We think it's the best series in the sport. But, having somebody to legit pull for is so much fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, Ross, we'll be rooting for you, man.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Glad to put on a show, and we'll go try to win some more.
See you next
time.
Hell
yeah, buddy.
Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, PTM 200
Whoops.
and Ross Chastain.
I think we may have kept him about 10 minutes longer than he was expecting, but
you
we
know.
certainly appreciate him not cutting us off. He answered everything that we asked.
Yeah.
And
how cool is he?
We know that's how it is, so that's why Rusty always starts the show with, hey, we want to respect your time, because these guys, they just get talking just like we do, and they're like, look it down, and they go, oh, crap, I'm like 10 minutes late for my next thing that I'm supposed to do.
Exactly. Sherwin, I'm going to run back through the notes. We missed one or two things here. Actually, just one, which was fourth period. We went and smoked cigarettes underneath the bleachers, as we always talk about. This week's the last week of DW in the booth. Any reflections there?
Well, so what I'll say is this. Based on everything that we have said over the last, call it 4 years, and the things that come out that you're like, you give an impression or a personality perspective where maybe it doesn't come out very good. What I would say right now is I will celebrate DW retiring.
Mm-hmm.
He was absolutely good for the sport when Fox took over the coverage in 2001. I hate it for him that he ultimately had to cover not just Dale Earnhardt's death, but his little brother winning his first Daytona 500, and that happened on the same lap.
Yeah, on the same quarter lap.
And so we should all give a nod to DW for who knows what will happen with all these guys' different careers. I don't know that we'll ever see Kyle Busch in the booth. We almost are pretty positive we'll see Kevin Harvick.
Sure.
His second career will be in the booth. But like the guys that were willing to continue supporting the sport beyond their ability to drive the race car with all the passion that they have, no matter how silly or smart or whatever the way they're doing it, you have to respect that.
Well, I think he was a pioneer in that side of it. You know what I mean? A pioneer in not just trying to be, and they're coming around turn 4, and it looks like it's going to be blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
And thankfully they were on TV as opposed to radio, because you will sometimes get that on radio, which actually is fun, depending on the perspective. But you're right. I mean, DW just kind of saw what he saw. Beyond the boogity, he didn't really, play the show up.
Yeah. Sarah just said her favorite DW moment, the checkers dropped at Sonoma a few years ago, and DW hollers, pour the wine and cut the cheese, yippee! And the booth went silent for a little while, like, cut the cheese? Really?
Are we fixing all fart or
yeah,
what?
Yeah, so I like that. I like the gaffes and stuff. I think this was the right time and everything, so you know what? I celebrate it. It's cool.
I think
it's
it's fine. I know I've picked on him over the years. The only thing that concerns...
Who hasn't, though? You know, everybody... how many times have you gone, what the hell, DW? That's not even... I'm not a student of the sport like others are, but I know that's just dead wrong.
Well, the only thing that... I guess sad's not the right word, because I'm not sad.
Yeah.
The only thing that concerns me about the whole DW legacy is that DW really sounded like the last 3 years that he was trying to compete with Jeff Gordon for airtime, and that he didn't know the things that Jeff did, and instead of playing off of that, he played against it. And that's my only beef.
Maybe I would have to imagine with someone of his legacy and everything, I can't imagine he would have to care all that much about that. I think he's just...
But that's the way it sounded, though.
Being DW. Yeah. I mean, maybe so.
I think having another driver in the booth, especially one that had better numbers in everything than you, I think his competitive spirit got in the way of his ability to broadcast.
Yeah, that could be. Truth is, I watch most sports at a volume level that's so low it's barely audible, because I just don't care for booth guys anyway.
I'm
radio is where it's at, though, y'all. Jeff Striegel and MRN and PRN and everybody. Holy crap!
They're already planning radio style broadcasts for Watkins Glen on
Sweet.
NBC. It's going to be flipping awesome.
Oh, really? That'll be
They did it last year, and it was awesome.
It's just they just get so excited.
Well, because you have 10 people.
It's 100 miles an hour. Yeah, the cars are going way faster than that. But,
every corner is every corner gets discussed because every corner has a person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're getting freaking. I mean,
and you hear race cars in the background.
That's what it is. Yeah. Awesome. Let's do this.
When are they going to run the boot? Anyway, we'll get to that when we get to Watkinsville.
Look out.
Or Watkins Glen.
Watkinsville
happens to be a small little place near Athens, Georgia. Not the same thing as Watkins Glen International Speedway in the Finger Lakes region of New York.
There you go. Some new follower shout-outs, Sherwin. Sherwin, give us the first one, because this is your hometown.
Yeah, well, so, we had one of these, checklist things that we got with one of our local watering holes that's a chain here in Atlanta, and I got to have a little party celebration, whatever you want to call it. And I picked a local Line Creek Brewery. It's out of Peachtree City. It's the only brewery in Fayette County, Georgia, where I grew up. So they followed us after I posted a picture of my flight plate, my whatever, and so I followed them back, of course, and we appreciate everything they're doing. We're glad that Fayette County has finally figured out that having breweries is fun.
At Line Creek Brew. And then Jesse Bartholomew at JESSIEDEYB, Indiana University graduate who loves them some race cars. So thank you, Jesse, for following along. Sherwin, it is time to gas it up.
Ruh-roh.
We haven't been able to do this in a couple weeks, but
we have
it is
not.
what it is. Sonoma, the wine country out in California. Who can't be excited for this, man? Ross Chastain's going to be there.
Junior's talked about taking his wife and a couple of her girlfriends, and they're just going to go drink wine and watch racing.
Oh, man. I can't wait for when we do this. Like I said, not just bucket list, but this is like our under 40 list. There's that very short. Like Pocono next year is on that list.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Sonoma is on that list. So I'm looking forward to it. Sherwin, like I say, until our buddies over at MOATF decide to get back on the mic, I am straight stealing their segment of
Always.
fun facts about Sonoma. So Sonoma was actually, you can think about Napa, but Sonoma was the birthplace of the California wine industry, and there's more acres of vineyards in Sonoma than there are in Napa. So eat that, Napa. Although you can get there in
That's
like
interesting. Although,
little short little drive.
Sonoma is basically the southern tip of Napa Valley.
Right. But screw those Napanians. We're here to talk Sonoma.
Well, and shoot a couple fresh birds at France for thinking they make the best wine.
Oh, yeah.
They don't necessarily. Sideways. Anybody watch Sideways?
Was
find
that
out
the
how
1976 or 79 or something like that was the big...
It was a
It
Chardonnay.
was the mid to late 70s.
It was a Chardonnay from Napa
Y'all gotta
Valley
watch this
that
stuff.
beat everybody in Europe. It's a great movie, though. It's fun. It's not nerdy. Well, maybe a little bit, but it's fun. It's just a fun movie.
Well, and even if you don't watch a movie, there's like 20-minute YouTube videos on this. It was the incident of whatever year that was. And in summary, they brought all these wines and they blind tested them, and the California wines beat the snot out of the French wines. Mm-hmm. And then they all called bullspit on it and said, the vintage was, it was an off year, blah, blah, blah. And so they redid it, and the California wines won hands down again. And then they showed them which bottles they were about to drink, and they drank them, and the California wine still won.
It was a reoccurring theme. The movie doesn't cover all those iterations, just the first one. But
they let Jeff Gordon in on into the playoffs on this one, and the California wine still won.
Exactly.
They changed the rules 15 million times. And the California wines.
Yeah, they NASCAR'd the hell out of them wine rules.
It was ridiculous. Sonoma, California, was the capital of the Independent Republic of California for exactly 25 days in 1846. I did not look up further what happened before and after for that to happen, but evidently that was the capital of California for a bit.
Well, and another anecdotal piece of evidence for everybody listening at home or watching on the YouTube, Sonoma, the racetrack, is 8 miles from Vallejo, California. There are two people that I know very well that are from Vallejo, California. One of them is Jeff Gordon. The other is my dad.
I was going to say, I know a couple also. I wonder if the same ones. Sherwin, Sonoma, it has the largest town plaza in California. Now I'm intrigued.
What does that even mean?
What does a huge town plaza mean? Is it if you have the biggest one? Is it like acreage? Is it? What happens there? Is there fireworks
number of
and
bricks
stuff?
number of fountains? What are we talking about?
I don't know how it is, but that was a fun fact on it.
That is a fun fact.
You know what? That's a type of fun fact you could just make up about anywhere. Well, Snellville, Georgia, where I grew up, they have the largest town square in all of Georgia. You couldn't refute that.
Well, where I grew up, we had the oldest operating courthouse in the history of the state. That's actually true.
That one you can actually
it was condemned about 10 years ago, but at a time it was the oldest operating courthouse in the state.
And Sonoma is home to the last Spanish mission in California. So the oldest,
Spanish mission, as they call it,
the newest. The newest one.
I think my parents drove me by there, but I was in the single digits of age, and we'll see.
Well,
I don't remember that too
Sherwin,
much.
We've got a bunch of balloons.
Vallejo is obviously a very Spanish name.
We can't take these balloons with us anywhere.
Ruh-roh.
They need to be taken down eventually. So I'm going to start.
Seems to be
Yeah, I'm going to start with one right here.
away.
And Dale Jr. is going to let us know that it is time for us to do some picks. So let's go ahead and bring him on.
Loud. I apologize, y'all. All right, so all right, I need to cut this cord here.
Yep. You've got some scissors right there. I've got some right here. We're going to do some picks, y'all. We're going to do them a little bit. You've probably caught on at this point exactly how we're going to do them. But let me see those when you're done. And Sherwin, in the last race, I picked Joey Logano, and we blew the horn there. He won the race in Cup.
Foghorn Leghorn.
Now this week, you get to go first and pick. Give us a pick for the Cup race.
All right, hold on.
Sherwin's he's got to take a deep breath before giving us this.
I don't know that I left myself enough space.
Maybe. Oh, I can hear it. You're good. Take a big old deep breath because we know we need to hear you talk about what you're going to pick here for the Sonoma race. So give us your breakdown. Who's going to win this thing?
All right, so we're going to Sonoma, and I think who I want to pick is the number 19 car that drives for Drove Gibbs, Martin Truex Jr.
That's a great picture. I love it. Truex is a great pick, and here's the deal.
Boyer and Kyle are so good on the road courses, and Truex did win last year. That's why I think that's a great pick. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, you got to get some more.
But I'm going with the wheelman who won back in 2011. Kurt Busch is back in victory lane at Sonoma. Sherwin, what do you think about that one?
I think Kurt Busch won. I didn't get enough. It's like, he did so good in that 51 car with a broke-ass track bar. That was crazy. He's the best wheelman in the sport. Everybody knows it. The win total doesn't necessarily reflect that, but I'm sure that we'll have some more fun with this helium before we close out.
I wouldn't be surprised if we heard a 1-2 Martin Truex Jr. and Kurt Busch in that one. My voice sounds a little even more country with the. I don't know how that works.
It might, sometimes people from the mountains, they talk real high pitch. That hillbilly, you get that moonshine in you talk real high pitch and stuff. And we're just gonna put a dip in and have a good time here. Eat some cornbread.
I like me some cornbread. So listen, we'll go with the off the wall with Ashley DeGilio to close us out, Sherwin. She asked, "Can you call something a list if there's only a single item written on it?"
No, I don't think you can. I think that's called an action item.
Well, here's what I think. I come from the computer science industry, and a list with nothing in it is a list. It's an empty list. So I have, and I think Roger here in the comments will agree with me. But otherwise, outside of the computer science industry, I'm not sure a list without anything in it's going to be a list.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
it took everything I could to not bust out laughing at that.
This pick section brought to you by Helium.
Yeah, I'm a little bit like, woo. Look
Isn't there a company called Helium that's been advertised now?
Possibly.
That's not even. Yeah, that was funny as hell.
Y'all, you have stuck around with us for 200 episodes of us doing stupid crap like sucking on Helium to make some picks for Sonoma. Oh goodness, and now I can't even talk. We want to thank you. Thank you. This is a cheers. We're holding the hats are off. The drinks are held high. We love y'all.
200!
200 episodes is unbelievable to us. I don't think we would have ever thought we would have had 200 episodes, ever thought we'd have had Ross Chastain on the show, ever thought that we would have our names printed on placards at Michigan International Speedway to go in there and hang out with folks. That was
pretty special.
That's all y'all. We were just two dudes who were, sitting around talking NASCAR, want to start figured we'd start recording ourselves talking NASCAR, and here it is, just everybody support and have fun. We hope y'all have fun. That's the biggest thing. We're just here to have some fun.
That's all it's supposed to be is fun. And just be glad that we don't use the kind of language that we normally use when we're not recording ourselves, which is at times fairly horrific, but it's fun not to. It's fun to be creative without actually saying cuss words.
That's right. But we will be on PETM After Dark immediately
Oh, that's going to
following
start.
the show.
I'm going to drop an F-bomb as soon as we stop the iTunes, just for the sake of doing it.
Just so that everybody knows. So here we go, y'all. We want to thank you. We want to thank Sydney Lett for Sydney Lett. Am I still on the helium? Sydney Lett for letting us use this amazing
Oh, yeah, big
song.
shout out to Dalton, man. He got over that bee sting, so that was good.
So, yeah, all recovered. She's ready to get right back on the show as soon as we can all get our dates together and everything. Sherwin, everybody knows what the deal is. PTMpodcast.com, at PTM Podcast. And for 200 times, I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace, at Tailgate Mayor.
And I'm at Pregame Engineer and at Andrew L. Sherwin on the Instagram. But y'all go over to iTunes, the ones that use Apple, and give us a rating and a review. Pretty pleased with sugar on top. We like that.
Yep, very much appreciate it. Share with your friends. Tell everybody Ross Chastain was on, and then tell everybody these idiots were sucking down helium and making picks on
And then
Sonoma.
go spike the hell out of a watermelon.
That's right. And then drink a watermelon Rita.
And
by Rita.
like Ross said, buy 3 of them. Okay, you get
go wrong.
you get to bust the hell out of one of them, and then you cut 2
That's
open.
a
You
good
go,
point.
which one's better?
That's the
and
good
then you
point.
throw the crappy one out, and you eat the good one.
All right. Love y'all. See y'all soon.
We are NASCAR, we are NASCAR.
Skew.
There it is. 200 episodes in the books. You have to say fuck now.
Hallelujah! That was awesome.
Oh, man. Let me go ahead and export this before I lose the 200th episode, and then we're really in some ish. Or I can say shit now. We're on the After Dark.
Yeah, we are on the After Dark. Thanks for Ross for giving us what he said he needed to be gone in 30. He gave us 40. So good on his ass.
Yeah.
Teaching us how to grow them damn watermelons too. And by God, that man, if you can't get behind him wheeling a race car, I don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you're still a Kevin Hart fan. You're pissed about Darlington. Okay, I get that. That makes sense. That's kind of, we all sort of react that way sometimes when our guy gets dumped. But
you know what? Even if you're a Harvick fan, you need to be over it by now. I'm just saying that.
well, Harvick's over it by now. I guarantee you.
Right. Get over it. Get over it. Ross is the man.
Ross is the man. Ross is essentially ascended the ranks based on his own willingness to be a hard worker and to drive the shit out of race cars. And I was so excited earlier this year when Brett Griffin hinted that he was running some of the Ross train. And I'm like, dude, Brett doesn't dick around. Mm-hmm. Brett's friends with Blake Shelton. He's got Clint Boyer. Yeah. He and Elliott Sadler have been together for 20 years. Brett knows what he's doing. You may not like what he says on Twitter all the time. Yep. You don't have to. That's the thing. You don't have to like everything
that
somebody
train rolling.
does.
I need to roll another train. I got to pee. I don't know.
Yeah, that'll happen sometimes. So, I mean, I was so excited when I found out that Brett was involved in Ross's sponsorship negotiations on that 10 car, the second car for Colleague Racing. That was super exciting. I'm so glad that he's decided he wants to run for points for Nice. Nice has been around for a while. We were just fumbling through some hero cards that we had gotten signed at various and sundry places like Atlanta and Talladega and elsewhere, and looking at all the different guys. And who pops up every third or fourth or fifth one is Ross Chastain, and that kid drives more race cars than anybody on the planet right now. I mean, if you give him a seat, he'll get in your race car. And we're so humbled that he would say yes to being on our show that we don't even know how to express it. We don't do it very well. I don't do it very well. Rusty probably does it better than I do. But we're so excited about having episode 200 tonight. We feel like that's a pretty significant accomplishment for us, especially being a hobby cast. We're not getting paid to do this. We are allowing you guys to create a community among us that lets us do really cool things like sponsor Jensen Jorgensen and his family and kind of as a collateral damage sponsor Taylor, his older sister, and they both won the last 2 weeks at Atlanta Motor Speedway during Thursday Thunder, and that's really awesome.
It's been awesome. So while I was draining the main vein there, it hit me that, my wife married a redneck, and she knows. She's from the Northeast. But she, I'm sitting here thinking, here she put up all these balloons and stuff, and it looks all nice. You give some rednecks a couple balloons, and what do? We just suck down the helium so we can,
they're
so we can be
that
silly.
Means there's helium in it.
So funny to me, she goes through all this rigmarole, and here we are just sucking down the helium.
2 of them already tore up.
Yeah,
The rest of them are good.
Now she did tell me, y'all got to figure out what to do with those balloons, and I go, oh, I know what to do with these balloons.
Well, at least one of them each, for sure.
Yeah. I ain't sucking down these zero. Y'all look at this behind me. If you're obviously you're on YouTube, look how big this balloon is. And there's a 2, there's a 0, and there's another 0, and then there's 6 other ones that are still sucked down. That's what she said.
Wow, that was graphic.
That was a pretty strong. That's what she said thing.
Sounds like something Ron White would say.
Yeah. No, she's not here. Well, she on Tuesday nights we do the podcast. She goes out and hangs out with her friends and does whatever they do. I don't know. we do podcasts. She's like, I'm going out.
We talk about
okay.
NASCAR and
Yeah.
sucking down helium and whatever else we're doing.
I need to go to Podbeat. Oh, excuse me. This this watermelon.
Oh, hiccup.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we've got 25 new notifications on the tweeter.
I do not know about any of this. Have you tried the watermelon Rita yet?
No.
Okay, have you some?
Give me some.
Yeah, regret.
God almighty,
Incoming.
that thing's heavy.
Yeah.
We hadn't finished this one, but it's... Woo!
Yeah, that might have come
Them
through the
barking
microphone.
spiders have been creeping in through the screen there.
Yeah.
Might want to check your window clearance.
Yeah, what was funny was that we have an 8% alcohol by volume, like 24-ounce can of watermelon Rita, and then we have the bad decision sitting next to it. Like,
Is it?
that's the bad decision, and that's God, they're both awful. Like I really do not like.
They're not great.
I'm not saying they're like retching.
Well, here's how you make watermelons better: is you add lime. Because when you're not actually eating a watermelon, you don't get any of that citrusy kind of fun.
I forgot to ask Ross. There's something I wanted to ask him. Salt the watermelon or no?
Oh no!
What do y'all do? Do y'all salt the watermelon or do you not?
I am going to make a watermelon salad at Shannon Rowe's request, but I'm going to add tomatoes, which if you get the vine ripened ones, they already kind of salty on their own.
You can put like in a watermelon salad. I think you can put in a little bit of salt just to
and
enhance the flavor of the whole thing.
She put feta in there, and I'm not a huge fan of feta. I'll eat it in lasagna. I was like, I'm going to use mozzarella, but then I'm going to make a balsamic olive oil vinaigrette with chopped up fresh mint in it. And that seems to be the thing.
Yeah, mint with the watermelon's the way to go. Sherwin, I grew up, my grandfather would eat, he would just, that would be like a whole quarter, when you quarter the watermelon, you got that
I got a story about that.
And he would just destroy watermelon. He loved watermelon, and he would salt the mother flipping watermelon to death, right? And so I was, there was at one point, I was like, I got to try this salt on the watermelon because I want to be cool like Granddaddy,
Right.
I put some salt on my watermelon. No. I put salt on the watermelon, like just a little like taste.
Just a little drizzle.
Yeah, just see how it feels, just for a second. I took a bite. It was among the most disgusting things I've ever had in my life. It ruined watermelon for me for like that summer. I've never put salt on watermelon ever again after that. So salt on the watermelon. So.
I never did, and I think I know why. Despite the fact that is a very common practice, is I remember being on an airplane when I was very, very little. Mm-hmm. And, like, when they give you the meal, we were in first class. They give you the meal, and you got that, like,
oh, yeah, because your dad worked for the airlines and all that,
on
so
it.
you got the upgrades and everything. Yeah,
it was, like, nice. And, like, I would just take the salt. I didn't know anything about salt. Mm-hmm. And I, like, dump a little bit in my apple juice and, like, take a sip. Eventually, I dumped too much. and I like gagged. And like me and Salt didn't get along for like a decade.
For a decade, I think it's been about 3 decades.
Yeah, it may easily. Yeah, at this point, yeah. Oh, I was younger than 8. I was probably 6. So yeah, 32 years. And I've been slowly easing my way back in on Salt.
Yeah,
But like, I don't need it on my fruit. I don't think.
that's a good point. I can't think of any other fruit. Why did watermelon get the salt?
I don't know. My dad
And,
hates watermelon, but he'll put
strawberries
on
don't have it.
cantaloupe and honeydew melon. He'll
Really?
put salt on
Huh.
them.
Now I got to try those and then subsequently hate them too. But
I hear you.
why? Who was the first person who came up with that, and what were they smoking? I know what my
I
grandfather
think it's
was
because
smoking.
watermelon, even at its like peak ripeness and deliciousness in terms of consistency, it's really not that sweet because there's so much water. So just that hint of salt makes the sweetness pop, maybe?
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that totally.
Maybe.
Well, salted caramel is a thing, right? It's
Now, salted caramel, I'm cool with. Like if you
especially
get
in a beer.
that little
Good
bit of sea
grief.
salt right on top of either the cookie or the whatever you're doing,
It does. I mean, it gives you.
it's good.
Well, it's like, the reason why Heinz ketchup has been the leader of the whole pack for that for years and years and years is because they did a lot of science around how you activate all 4 sections of the tongue: bitter, sweet, sour, and savory.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Heinz has been like the number 1 selling ketchup,
Well,
because it activates all of the sensors in the tongue. Now, that has since been refuted because they don't think the tongue only has 4 sections and they're not divided.
right. I'm glad you said that too. I would say, have you had ketchup in other countries, like in Europe? And
I've had it in France, but it's been
Japan?
a really, really long time.
Ketchup in other countries is disgusting. The U.S. is the only people. And listen, I don't.
Are we the only ones that put sugar in it? Is that the reason?
No, because I am to sugar what you are to salt. I don't want sugar on nothing. If I want sugar, I want it in my cookies. I don't want sugar on my pork. I don't want sugar on anything. I don't want sugar in the barbecue sauce. I don't want sugar.
I am the
nowhere.
walrus.
Yeah, I am the walrus. So, I don't think it's because we put sugar in it. I think it's in spite of the fact that we put sugar in ours. But I don't know what it is. I haven't really.
I think it's because
broken it down. It's
Heinz's
disgusting.
R&D department used to be so strong that they just like figured everything out.
Yeah. What do they put in those other places? Ketchup in Quebec is odd.
Hunt's always turned me off because it had like, it wasn't smooth. It was like
grainy,
kind of chunky. You know what I mean by that? Like it had a
yeah.
texture to it. You're like, well, Heinz ain't got that.
Yeah. Wait, what's going on here? I don't know how. Now mustard. Now, I'm pretty particular about mustard, y'all.
I'm pretty particular about my damn mustard.
I like me some mustard, man.
French's is the best, but other yeller mustard can be good.
You know what? I'm coming around a little bit to the fancy mustards. A little bit.
Well, it depends on what I'm eating. If I'm eating salami on like wheat bread, hell yeah, I'll eat that spicy stuff. But if
Yeah.
I'm slathering down a butt, getting ready to smoke up some barbecue, I want that good old yeller.
Yeah. I need the yellow stuff. And in places, I got this from my parents, and I think Sherwin looked at me sideways the first time we did it. If I have onion rings, French's yellow mustard. That's the only thing I'm dipping my onion rings in is yellow mustard. That's it.
I could totally do that and love it. But I tend to do both, though. I'll put ketchup and mustard together.
And fried cauliflower is the other thing. I think fried stuff, like if I have a corn dog, I just want mustard on it. So I think fried stuff for me, mustard is the perfect
I'm
complement and
getting
condiment.
way bigger on mustard now. And I think it stems from the same thing you said about, I don't really care for sweet things. I like savory better. Mm-hmm. And mustard is
that might be
the
reason,
epitome
yeah.
of savory.
Yeah, that could be. So, yeah, mustard versus ketchup versus. I think I don't have the aversion to mayonnaise that you have necessarily because I know you hate mayonnaise on stuff. I don't put mayonnaise like I don't add it to anything.
I don't
if
like,
it's already there.
yeah.
Sure, I'll have it. Like on a
don't like
Whopper or something. Hey, you're gonna make a Whopper. I'll eat the mayonnaise on it.
Well,
But
now that they've figured out how to put the buttons in the computer where you actually get what you want instead of them just goofing it up, I will take the mayonnaise off. I got to the point where I don't mind eating it. Like, I like slaw with mayonnaise in it. I like tuna fish salad with mayonnaise in it.
yeah, that's what I mean.
And
When
chicken
it's an
salad.
ingredient- when it's
When it's
kinda
like a dressing, but it's not like a main ingredient.
yeah. Dude, I was the first time I went to London. I ordered some fries, which of course are chips over there, right?
And they serve it with mayonnaise.
Dude, so this was like it was like fries in a cup, and she took the mayonnaise bottle. And
Oh,
was
no!
going- this is
No,
like
no, no.
slow mo, right? And she's going over the top with it, and she's about to squeeze.
Did you like stick your hand over it?
I mean, just about. I'm reaching. I'm going no, and she's like, "Oh, would you like some mayonnaise on it?" I'm like, "No, get the crap away from my
mayonnaise is an accent. It's not the dip.
No, you don't dip stuff in mayonnaise. That's disgusting. I'm looking around like,
hey,
what's
what
wrong
are
with
you
you people?
Yeah, what are you, Dutch? Like, what's going on here?
Oh man, so no, I ain't eating no mayonnaise on nothing. And Japan's the worst. Japan,
They put some weird shit on stuff.
well, so there'll be a plate of food, and you're like, all right, well that looks like good.
Here's
There's
some
like noodles and pork, and
3-day-old sushi juice.
cabbage and
How about
stuff in
that?
it. Yeah, and they're like, before they bring it to you, they're mayonnaise, and you're like, well, now you just ruined it. Now I got to like scrape off all this mayonnaise off of this thing. Like, what in the world is with people and mayonnaise?
I mean, when it's something you can apply out of a tube or a bottle or whatever, why would you automatically apply it? Why wouldn't you just bring it and go, we're all our culture, we use this.
Yeah,
But you have a bottle to apply it from. If you don't want it, you don't use it.
yeah,
That's how this works.
yeah. I don't know what to tell you, man.
Even Shoney's knows that.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, even Shoney's knows that. Come on, y'all. We are on iTunes now with PTM 200. We are on Google Play. We are on Twitter.
Everybody's still
on Podbean. Everything.
losing their minds on the Twitter
yeah,
feed
what do we
or
think?
the YouTube feed.
You know what, Roger? Tomato sandwiches with mayo. I used to eat
Mustard.
I used to eat those growing up. Tomato sandwich, mayo. That was my parents' favorite thing. And if y'all hadn't had like the Vine.
Well, you got to have garden.
Yeah, you gotta have your
maters,
garden
because they have a
tomatoes.
nice salty, delicious flavor to them.
Yeah, and a little bit of mayo. I've been known to eat that, but to Sherwin's point, if you replace that mayo with just you don't need much mustard. You don't want this to be a mustard sandwich, which
I can eat mayo on one of those, but as long as it's not like, a 1/4-inch thick. Like if you just want to take one slab and go, I will eat that all day long.
the one thing that I do put mayo on, the only sandwich that I specifically pull out the mayo and slather it on is a after Thanksgiving turkey sandwich, because I like just turkey and mayo and some pepper, and that's it. Turkey,
Okay,
mayo, pepper.
so
because turkey is so lean to start with that you need a little bit of that fat in there just to give it that flavor.
I don't blame you for that. I traditionally choose mustard over, but the pepper for sure. And then you got to make sure that you get the
Mustard's
right
a little
mix
overpowering for me
of
on
the dark meat and the light
Yes.
meat, so that
Yeah.
you get some of that juiciness
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
And if you toast her over in that bad boy, woo!
Ooh, look out! You know what? I'm very particular on my, and I shouldn't say I'm particular. I'm just unwilling to try anything else because I love that sandwich so much that I don't.
Well,
wanna-
and it's easy. You
Yeah,
already have.
yeah.
I have all the things right here.
yeah, it's right here for me.
I don't need to change.
yeah.
Why would I change? I have.
Yeah. I love this. Is a 100% sandwich for me. Why would I try to mess with it and potentially go down to 98%? Even? So
I've charged myself with making 100% of a sandwich that I intend to eat 100% of.
Right.
I will make it the way I goddamn want to.
My God. Yeah. So, yeah, all with that. Later, Posse, who said it? That was Freddie.
Thanks y'all
time.
for sticking around for After Dark. Obviously, we enjoy this, having fun, and we love that you guys are willing to do so. And we give you After Dark. It gets a little dark.
Y'all. Thank you to Ross Chastain. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out, having fun. 200 times this. We got the balloons. We got the setup. Couldn't be happier.
Tell all your friends that actually might like a podcast. You never know. Never know when you might meet one that might want to listen to something like this. Especially guys like you, Fred, that are driving long distances. Guys need to pass time. Gals need to pass time. Yeah.
Y'all are the best. PTM Posse is the best. 200 episodes in the book. Sherwin, big high five.
Bicentennial.
And let's close this thing down. That kind of sucked, but
We'll do it
doesn't
again
matter.
right here.
Here it is. There it is. That was a good high five. We're outie. See y'all later.
I had to do it twice. Pew! Scoot!